Hey guys, before this video starts, I just want to let you guys know that if this video gets 100 likes, I'll put the downloads to all the files I mentioned in the video in the description, as well as a secret little giveaway at 100 likes as well. Since today is my birthday, I thought I'd give you guys something back pretty cool. So it's going to be a secret until we get 100 likes, and I'll post both those things in the description. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoy the video. What's up guys, Qehzy here, bringing you guys another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do these 3D scene banners, which is what I'm going to call them. I don't know if that's really the right name. I'm not sure what else to call them really. But they're sort of these models that you make in Cinema 4D, kind of model out the whole scene, maybe a few like background details like a sky you don't include. But you do a lot in Cinema 4D, kind of create objects and stuff like the surfboard and whatnot, and you get a semi-realistic looking scene that looks pretty cool. You can see I have this Bazinga and Kenna headers that look pretty cool. I really like both of these. I also just recently did one for a client that looks like this. This one's a little more simple because there's no real sky or anything. It's just like the ground. But yeah, so I'm going to be showing you how to do this Kenna beach themed one because it has a little more stuff that I can show you, and like all the techniques that I use to do this. So this might have to be a two-parter, a Cinema 4D part and a Photoshop part, we'll see. But let's get started. So first off, you want to set up the scene, obviously, and you want to get like your main land. So in this case, we want to set up the sand, and like the dunes and the ground and whatnot. So we're going to go ahead and get a landscape, and we're just going to increase the size in like every direction like so. Maybe even a little further out. And I'm going to keep it at the default seed of 0 because it has a slight slant coming downwards like a beach would have. And then I'm not going to set up the dunes yet. I want to set up my text. So I'm going to go MoGraph, MoText, and we're going to make it middle. And I'm just going to make it say, actually I'll do Qehzy. It's a little longer. There we go. And then we're going to bring this very far forward. And one thing I forgot to mention, I'm using my own Lightroom, which is in my store. If you want to buy it, it's like $1. Or you can use any other Lightroom. It's up to you guys. I just obviously use my own stuff. But the key to this is good Lightroom. So make sure you find one that's real good and use that. So we brought the text really close and made the size of it overall smaller. I might actually bring it a little closer. Like so. That's pretty good. And now we'll set up the dunes. You kind of have to use the text as a guide for the dunes. And I should actually pick a font probably. So I don't remember what font I used on the Kenna banner. It was kind of cursive-ish, I guess you could say. Hopefully I can find one pretty decent. I want it to be sorta handwritey, but I don't know if I'll be able to find one that I like. Alright, so I didn't find the font I was looking for, but I found a font that I'm just going to go ahead and use. So it's called Eris Bold ITC. And I'm just going to go ahead and use that for now. But we're going to set up the text so it has fillet caps on both the start and the end in a radius of 1. Like that. That actually might be, we might have to go about 0.5 even. There we go. Now, okay, so that's our general text. We can work with that. Now let's set up some of the dunes. So we're going to go ahead and get another landscape, and we're going to bring it over to the side here. Bring it up, and just about there. That's like the perfect height. You don't want to mess with the height. You kind of want it to be at the top of the text, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower in some cases. But we're going to go ahead and then change the seed. So maybe, where's... That one's pretty cool. I like that. We'll do that one. And you want to copy and paste, bring it over, and look for another seed. That one works. Let's keep going. do that. And I'm gonna have to lower this one a little bit so the bottom doesn't show. That'll do. And there we go. So pretty simple dunes just going across. We could even make these a little closer. Let's see if that looks weird. That looks pretty good. I think that's a perfect distance. We'll go ahead and roll with that. Actually, I might move these side ones in a little bit. That might give it a cooler look. And I might have to move this guy down. And obviously there's going to be a lot of tweaking going on when you're doing this. So I'll do something like that. That's pretty good for now. We'll just stick with that. Now we want to set up the textures on the sand. So we're going to go ahead and create a new material. Double click on it. And of course it pops up there. And we're going to uncheck reflectance. I'm in Cinema 4D R17 by the way. So your textures in Material Editor might be different than mine. But the same concepts do apply. So on the color, you want to hit this drop down arrow and go to layer, click on the black square, and we want to add an image. Now I sort of got some textures a while, so I don't have to search them or anything. And I have two variations of sand. I have like this white sand and then this sort of normal sand. I'm going to try this one right now first. Click OK. No, don't want it in the search path. And let's click on color again and then copy the channel. And we'll go down to displacement and paste it there. You actually don't really need to do that, but you can if you like. I tend to do it. You can also do an environment and sort of just pick a beach scene to use as that. In this case, I'm not yet. Maybe we will later on, but let's just see how this looks. So I'm going to put this on all the landscapes. And let's render this out and see what we're dealing with. So I'm going to have to change the lighting at some point. Since the Lightroom is back a little further, I have to move it forward a little bit. It looks pretty good on the dunes there. I'm going to have to change it up for the actual front bit because it's looking a little blurry. I'm actually not too sold on this. And I gotta change, was it this one? Yeah, I gotta bring this guy down. Alright. Actually, let's try the white texture quick, see if that looks any better. Alright. And let's do that. I think this one might look better. Let me change the Lightroom real fast. So we're gonna have to texture looks a little better. Let's just see if we can't put it on cubic, and I think that's gonna be our best bet when it comes to this Santa. Oh yeah, that's looking a little better. Actually, it may look a little too rough. I'm gonna take off the displacement real fast to see if that does anything. And sorry, whenever I open the material editor, it's gonna bounce over. Let's just try that. And it's still gonna look a little grainy. That shouldn't be too big of a problem though. I mean, it doesn't look awful. It's not bad at all. And you got to keep in mind that when we do the header, it's probably going to be like this space and like this space. So like the bottom sort of fourth, I don't really pay much attention to. And you can see why, like it's so big because the camera view is so close to that. But I think this texture could work. It's a little odd. I normally would probably try to find more, but in this case, I'll leave it as is. And we'll sort of move on to the next stuff. I'm actually going to play with this dune real fast and make it a little bigger, maybe a little wider. Something like that. Alright, yeah. So that's that part set up. Now we're going to play around with the text a little more. So let's bring the text to the top. I'm just going to put all the landscapes in a folder. And name that sand. Alright, now for the textures on the text, I keep it simple. So I'm just going to create a default white texture. And I'm just going to go to pure white. And then not do anything, leave it as is. And we can just go ahead and duplicate that and make this one whatever color you like. In the case of the banner I made it purple, but you can do whatever. Maybe red. I don't know. Purple really worked for the last one I did, so I'm just going to stick with that. Do purple. And now, this is something I used in a lot of my tutorials. You might have seen this before. But you want to have Mo text selected, go to Mo Graph Effector, Random, and you'll get sort of a random look. We don't want to mess with the positioning too much, so we'll just keep this at like small numbers. Scale, we're not going to mess with at all. Excuse me. Rotation, we're going to play with a little bit. And something like that. Alright, cool. Now we can just hit C on the Mo text. That'll make it editable. Not edible. Editable. It's so weird to say. I always struggle with that in my tutorials. Don't know why. And then you can go ahead and delete the random effector. We just use that to get just kind of a start on our look. And we're going to have the Q down in the sand like that. Bring the E down into the sand a little bit. Move it a little closer to the Q. H, we'll bring that down pretty far. So it's in the sand pretty good. Bring it down. The Z, same thing. Move it over. Down in the sand. And the Y will just bring over. There we go. And that might not be too centered. I might just bump it to the right a little bit. And there we go. And then we're going to go ahead and duplicate that. And on one of the folders, we're going to put the white texture. And, and on the other one, we're going to put the purple texture. And then you kind of want to just play around with which one comes first. So I like to do like 1, 2, 1, 1 for five letter things in any order really. So it could be the opposite of whatever I just said. But the first one I'm going to keep white, so I'm going to go to the purple letter and bring it back. But so you can still see the purple around the edges. That's kind of the look you want to go for. And then the second one, we want to have the white in the back. Like that. Maybe move it up and to the right. The third one, we want to go white again. So the next two, we want to go white. And I'm just going to get out of this camera view so I can do it a little better. Just back a little bit. That works. And then the Z, same thing. You could also rotate the ones in the back. So like for the Z in the back, I could like rotate it, get a different look. Let's see how that looks. That might not look bad. I don't like it. If you're gonna do it, you gotta do it to all of them. And I don't think I'm gonna do it. And then the Y is gonna be purple. There we go. So that's sort of the look I go for. So 1, 1, 2, 1. All right. Then we can minimize that stuff. We can also select that and maybe change the overall angle. I could lean it back a little more. Maybe lean it forward. I kind of liked where I was sitting. Could go back a little more. Kind of like a chill, lean back sort of vibe, but we'll keep it like that. And actually, I want to bring in the Ys a little more. Oh, shoot. Something like that. That looks pretty cool. Alright, now on to the next thing. We want to start adding in other objects around the text, so the text is not alone. So obviously you got to think of your theme, whatever you're doing. Beach theme is probably one of the easiest ones to do, not gonna lie. That's actually why I'm showing it to you, and that's why I actually made the banner originally, is because I wanted to just practice, and I knew beach would be pretty easy, and that's what I went with. But so like obviously you the umbrella, pretty simple. The beach ball, a little crab, and like a surfboard. That's 4 pretty easy objects you can model, and they're not too difficult. So we'll start out with the umbrella. It's pretty simple. You can do this multiple ways. What I tend to do sometimes is just create a new file in Cinema 4D and just model it there. So let's go ahead and do that. You can also just model it in the normal like Lightroom or whatever, but you tend to get distracted, or you tend to get things in the way, and you could hide everything, but it's just a hassle. So we're just going to do it here. So we're going to get a cylinder first off, and we're going to make it pretty thin like so. And then there's multiple there's multiple ways you could do the umbrella. I think I'm just going to go ahead and get a cylinder, just bring it out a little bit, thin it out. You want a little thickness there though. And then let's go to the object and rotation segments. I think we want like 6 or 8. Let's see. I think it's 8. Yeah, it's definitely 8. So we want to do 8 rotation segments. That's basically 8 sides. And then we want to hit C on the keyboard. And let's go to the points here. And let's just bring this guy down real fast. Alright, we want to go to the points, and let's get this point and bring it up. Pretty easy. And then we can get this other point and bring it up as well. Doesn't have to be as far. But yeah, there we go. You could also figure out a way to round it off the umbrella too if you'd like. I'm not, but you could if you'd like. And now we're just going to select every other panel. Make sure you get the edges as well. Alright. And let's create a new material. And let's extrude it just a bit. Actually, bevel it just a bit. And, well, actually, we can just add on the material right away and then change the color later. But let's get the other panels. So, boom, 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 boom. Alright, and then let's... Actually, we should probably add the color before beveling. I might have just screwed that up. So add the color, then bevel. And you just want to bevel a little tiny bit. Alright, but let's change the colors. So again, we're probably going to just do white. And I'll do yellow. There we go. That's pretty simple. The other thing is, I think I just forgot to do this, but you can... No, it's not bad. You can make it more rounded. So this one's very pointed, I guess. So to make it rounded, you'd get the selection tool and just select everything. So if you hit V, select... you could do fill selection. I'll just do loop selection so it goes around this part, because that's all we need really. And then if we go right click knife, and then we do a loop in the mode, and restrict to the selection. I don't know if we have to play with any of that. No, we don't. You can do one of these, go on the line and get it like there and there, and then you get the selection tool again, but this time do the edges and do V again, select loop selection, get the one loop, get the move tool, drag it up a little bit, and then do the same thing. Drag it up a little bit, and that's kind of how you get that sort of umbrella look. I don't know what to call it, the rounded look. But yeah, I guess you could do the underside of the umbrella, but the way I'm gonna have this tilted, it's the bottom won't be visible, it'll just be the little bit of the top. But let's bring up the cylinder. And then we'll just create a default like gray material for that. We don't need to do anything too fancy. You could also do a wood material, wood texture, I guess, if you wanted to. I think that's what I did in the original, but I think a silver might be better. So maybe something like that. Alright, cool. You could also, if you'd wanted, add some segments in here. Might be a little too much. Actually, let's display with shading and segments. There we go. So I did like 23 segments. Let's hit C on the keyboard. Selection, do polygons, V, selection, loop selection. You like pick one of these out, right click, extrude, and extrude it out a little bit, just to give it some different stuff, because I know umbrellas have that slidey thingy. I don't know where that would be. Probably would be at the top actually, but you can just throw some in there and that'll work. So let's get everything back to normal, and let's actually just select both of these, right click, connect objects, and delete, so it's just one whole thing. We'll call it umbrella, and let's copy it and go to our Lightroom and let's paste it in here. I'm gonna get out of my camera and move it forward. And there we go. That's the umbrella. Pretty good, pretty easy to do. Sorry, I kind of was all over the place with that one. I just was trying to remember how to do that umbrella. And I'm going to be honest, I kind of forgot. Alright, so we're back at that umbrella file. Obviously, the umbrella is deleted, but we're going to go ahead and make a beach ball. So we're going to go ahead and create a sphere. And I'm just going to rotate it on its side at 90 degrees, so these circles are on either end. Make sure you're on your polygons now, and selection tool. And we're going to click C on the keyboard while you're on sphere. And we're actually going to have to create a couple more colors here. So we have yellow. Let's duplicate that twice. And let's get a, maybe a red. And then a purple, purplish pink. Alright, cool. Now let's go V, select, we'll do a loop selection. And let's get 4 of these sort of, I keep burping. I know you guys can't hear it, it's like silent, but it's really annoying. But we're going to select this and take away half. So we're going to hold command and just get rid of this. Get rid of that. And then we'll add our color. So let's just start off with the yellow. Gosh, I'm so like backwards in this Lightroom. Alright, there we go. Actually, that's sideways. Whatever. So let's do the yellow colors now, and I'll just speed this section up for you guys, because it's really the same thing over and over again. The pattern is just color, white, color, white, color, white. So yeah. Okay, there we go. Beach ball is completed. There's probably an easier way to do that, like selecting those panels, but I don't know. That's just the way I did it. And in beach balls, the side is like always one color, usually white. So let's select that, white, and select this circle, white. There we go, and call this beach ball. And let's copy that. And let's head over to our other window. And let's paste it. And of course, we're going to have to move it forward. We've got to find a spot for this too. In the original, I had it off to the side, like back here. I guess I'll just do the same thing. That works. We can always play around with everything later on. And let's actually move it a little further forward. Okay, sorry if it sounds like I'm sort of talking to myself, just kind of how I work. Now let's go ahead and do the surfboard, which is actually probably the most fun part of doing this. In my opinion, it was my favorite part. So let's go to this window again and delete this. And now what I did was get a surfboard kind of cutout saved. Whoops. So I forget what I searched, but like surfboard outline maybe. Yeah, that's what it was. This looks very familiar. I think I might have used this one. Actually, I think it was this one. Yeah, so let's save image as, do surfboard. And also, I wanted to get the fins. This one, I think this was the one I used as well. Save image. There we go. So save those two. We're going to use those as references in Cinema 4D. And to do that, what we're going to do is go to the view here, and we're going to go front, and then what is it, display or options, configure, back, and then load up an image. 3D scenes tutorial is the folder I saved everything in. Do the surfboard, open, and then let's go top, let's do right, do the same thing, and then get the fins. Okay, and I don't think the size will really matter for us. We'll just size everything down or up depending. So let's get a cube for the surfboard, and you can see the yellow lines. That's where the cube is. It might be a little hard to see. We're just going to stretch it out. And let's just stay there to begin with. And let's go to this main view. We're going to have to decrease this length to like a surfboard. So maybe that. I don't know. I sort of eyeball this. Just change things depending. And this actually might be a little thicker. Like that. We'll see when it's all said and done. And actually, we got to stay in this view because we're going to hit C on the keyboard, the selection tool, polygons, and we're going to click this top one and go back to the surfboard. All right, so let's right click, extrude, and we're going to extrude this up to about there. And let's get the scaling tool, scale it in. Let's do it again. There we go. And let's go back to this view. See how this looks first of all. Doesn't look bad. Now we're going to do the bottom. And we're just going to do exactly what we just did. There we go. And we could kind of, actually I know what we can do. Let's select this. And again, I really just work with one side. So I'm going to work with this side, and I'm going to select this and bevel it. Just a tad bit though. Hopefully that worked a little bit. Yeah, there's a slight bevel. And I can't remember if I put this in a subdivision surface or a hypernerbs. Yeah, I definitely did. So you're going to want to do that, and that will kind of give it that smooth feel. And we could also have this selected. Let's uncheck that right now. Actually, what happens if I drag this out? Ooh, that'll work exactly perfect. Oh, that's ideal. Alright, so you can see this is what it looks like without the subdivision surface or the hypernerbs. Depends what Cinema 4D version you're in. So it's beveled just a little bit, and then I pulled out the surface. So like it was here, and I pulled it out a little more. And you get something like that. So you can see it's pretty thick, but surfboards tend to be sort of thick, and we can always select the whole thing and make it a little thinner like that. And you don't really have to worry about one side, you just do the other, and that's like perfect. I think like that's exactly what I want. Obviously the bottom is probably not ideal. It's not like the perfect shape, but since it's going to be in the sand, it won't really matter. But now let's go ahead to this right side view, and now we're going to create some of the fins. So let's get the, what is it? Is it just the pen tool? I think it's just the pen tool. We'll do that. And we're going to mimic the shape. And this doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be sort of close. There we go. And let's get out of, let's go back to our normal view. And we're going to actually, I think we have to rotate this way first. 90 degrees to get the extrude NURBS. Like that. And then we can go right back. So just do what I just did. You got to rotate it so the hyper NURBS work, or the extrude works. You could also just rotate the extrude NURBS, but I didn't. And then let's rotate it. Is it this way? I believe this is the correct way the fins would go. I'm not entirely sure. But then let's size it down. Bring it over and just have it like that. There we go. And let's actually increase thickness. Center it a little better. Bring one down. Let's copy, paste, hold shift and move over. We'll go 40. Bring that guy up. Duplicate it. Go over 80. There we go. There are the fins. Hopefully those are the right way the fins would go. If you can see, like, obviously we're going to be looking at the bottom of the board, and that would be the top. So I think, and that's the front. So I think it's facing the right way. I'm not entirely sure. I've only surfed once, so I mean, yeah, I'm not from like a beachy area. But yeah, whatever. Now let's go ahead and create a material, and we're just gonna get a standard black or a dark gray, probably dark gray, like so. And that's gonna be on the fins. And then for the actual design on the board, I actually customized one in Photoshop, and I thought I did it really cool. If you look at like what I did, like I got a wood texture and I kind of played with the darkness of it in certain places, and there is like a logo there. I think I just made like a quick logo, and I said it says Qehzy with just like or an oval. And I kind of thinned it out to sort of look like a board, but not really. And that's just kind of like the makeshift logo I did. But so Let me go ahead and open up Photoshop. I don't remember what the dimensions were I did this for. And I remember I played around with different surfboard designs for like an hour. So I don't remember what I did to get the final one that I made. But we're going to make the height, we'll go like 1500, I guess. And the width, what do you say? Like, we'll go like 400 maybe. I'm not entirely sure. I just kind of guesstimate things and then correct it when I need it. But I have a wood texture that I saved in here earlier that I thought I could work with. Not that one, this one. So let's see what we can do with this. Let's rasterize it. Get the move tool. And I don't know if I drag this down, that looks fine. And I'm not entirely sure what I should do. Let's create a new layer. And I did like a stripe down the middle. So let's go ahead and try that. I'm gonna get a ruler. And let me get the brush. I'm gonna get a hard brush. What size is that? Alright, go about 25 pixels. And I'll get white. I'll just click over here and go straight down. Alright, and then let's center it. There we go. Actually, it's not perfect. There we go. And let me see, if I just put that on overlay, that'll do the trick. That's kind of what I want. Or should I go dark? Let's see. If I inverse it. I sort of like the dark. We'll do that. And let's actually duplicate this. We'll hide that one. And we're just going to get this and thin it out a little bit. Let me zoom in. And we'll make it pretty thin. It's about like 11 pixels wide. I think that's what that just said. Alright, and let's take this one we duplicated. We're going to bring it over to like the side, like there. So I think that moved over, what, 78? Let's inverse it to the white. Let's duplicate it. Bring it over. Is that even? There we go. That's pretty even. I think I have to bump this guy over, actually. There we go. I'm not sure if I'm liking the white as an overlay. I'm not sure what I did to... Maybe I just did hue. And then duplicate and then do overlay. Ooh, that's ideal white. I don't think that's what I did originally, but that looks good. And I actually don't like the bottom color too much. I actually kind of want it a little lighter. Actually, let's just do a completely white overlay. Something like that. I like that a lot. And then, hold on, this might have to come down a little bit more. Or do I even need these now? Yeah, I'll keep them. That looks cool because it looks a little rough, and I kind of like how that looks, the white stripes. Let's duplicate one of these white stripes. Oh, okay, wrong side. Let's inverse it, get the dark guy, and maybe do it again. We'll get a real dark look. Select both of those. We'll drag it out and do something like that. There we go. Yeah, that's not too bad. I sort of like how that looks. It's sort of surfboardy. I think the bottom texture, or the bottom board, should be a little whiter still. Maybe if I bring it up. Duplicate. I think this is a seamless texture. No, it's not. If I just flip it though, no one will know. Maybe, hopefully. Ooh, there we go. That's looking a little better. Sort of like that. Where are those white layers? I don't even need that. That's the... We'll keep that. That looks pretty good. I actually don't think I did any white overlays on the original. So maybe I inverse these back to black. Not too bad, not too bad. I sort of dig this look. Of course, it could be better. Let's just try to do a quick makeshift logo again. So we'll do the eclipse, no fill. We'll have a white stroke. We'll go like, we'll do 3. I actually don't want it to be that bold, so we'll make it a little smaller. And we'll put it at the bottom. Alright, there we go. Quick surfboard texture. You could play around with that probably a little more. Well, obviously you could. But yeah, we'll see how this looks. And I'll probably not fix it if it looks bad, just for time reasons. Like, you guys got the general idea. That's what I did to create it. Let's call this surfboard texture. Save, and I'm gonna quit. And actually, I'll save this just to throw it in the file, which I'll put the file to all this stuff at 100 likes in the description, if that made sense at all. I don't know if I spoke English. Alright, cool. Now let's create a new layer, new material. Open this up. Let's hide reflectance again. And we'll go to layer, click on the black box, image, and surfboard texture, open. No. I don't think I did anything else. And I think I just plopped it on there. There we go. And maybe we can change, I don't know. Does that look pretty good? Maybe it has to go on this layer. Actually, it doesn't matter, it seems. What does it look like cubic? Ooh, that looks even cooler. But it needs to stretch this way and offset like that. Alright. We're gonna just group everything real quick. Call this surfboard. Copy it, and we'll put it in this Lightroom. Something like that. There we go. That's the surfboard, and let's take a quick render look. Alright, so as you can see, it doesn't look too bad. It looks pretty good. Obviously, I have to probably move this umbrella to make sure that the Y is more visible and kind of change the setup of things, but this is not looking too bad. Let's just move that umbrella now, I guess. We'll move it back. Alright. So the other thing I did is, if we take a look at the original, you can see a couple things. One, this crab, which I'll show you next. This towel sort of look, which I'll show you after. And then the fence back here, which I think is a hidden detail, but is actually something I made and took a lot of time on to do. And I think that really puts the piece together. So I know we're pretty far in this tutorial, but that's what we're going to be doing next. So yeah, let's go ahead and do the, what did I say, the crab first. Let's go back to this untitled window, delete that. And the crab was pretty simple. Basically, it was a sphere, and I think I may have duplicated it and put in like a meta ball type thing. So where are the meta balls at? Meta ball. yeah, so I sort of got that kind of look, and I bumped down the editor subdivision so it's a little rounder. And then all this was a cylinder. Nope, we'll make it pretty thin. A ball on the cylinder. And then I think we duplicated that and brought one forward and made it just a little bit smaller. And actually, we'll just use this red as the color. And we gotta get the eyeball texture, which I have in the folder, of course. I already got that. So we're gonna do the same thing. Oh, my layer. All right, and iris blue texture. Let's remove that. So it should be a blue eyeball. And we're gonna have to offset it so it's centered. And make it a little smaller, probably 50% on the length. There we go, and that's, well, one eye. I almost said two eyes. And let's just select all that, bring it over, and let's get a symmetry and put all that in a group and in a symmetry. There we go, the eyes. And the mouth I didn't do in Cinema 4D, so we're not going to worry about that. And to save time and not like bore you guys too much, the rest was just arms, and I basically got an arc. I got a circle, and I got a sweep. And I put the arc and the circle in the sweep. Change the length of the circle down. And let's see, start growth I changed to make it a little smaller. And then end growth, oh, I kept that. End scale, I brought that down to kind of create the legs, and then I just set that up on the crab to create all its legs. And then I did the same thing with the arms, except I did not change the end scale. That just stayed the same at 100. And then I put a little sphere, if you can see, a little sphere that I kind of made into like an oval, like an egg shape actually. So it looks like he's holding the surfboard. So that's all you'd have to do with that. I'm not going to show you that just because it's pretty simple. I covered modeling animals in a previous tutorial, which I will put in the description. But yeah, I just feel like that might just be a little pointless. But that's a general idea. Hopefully you guys are able to work with that. And yeah, now let's go back to the other window, because this time we are going to play... What the heck did I do to the layers? Okay, that was stupid. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to do that like towel thing, I guess you could call. Alright, I guess you could call it. So I'm just going to make... I want the towel to lay on the E. So I'm going to go to the letter E. I'm going to right click. And let's select children. C on the keyboard, right click. Select children, right click. Connect objects and delete. And then we're going to right click. And where's the simulation tags? And we're going to go to cloth collider. And then we're going to get a plane. And we're going to bring this, bring this over. Change the size, so maybe 50 and 100. I don't know if that'll be too big. Looks like it'll be a little too big. We'll just make it smaller, 25 and 50 maybe. And that'll do. And we want this to lay over the E just a bit. And let's add a color. Well, we can just make it red for now. Doesn't really matter. And let's make sure it gets over. Let's hit C on the, actually let's make sure there's good amount of segments. So I'm gonna do 40 and 40 and hit C on the keyboard, right click, simulation tags, cloth. And then let's go to 0. Let's go to the camera. And if we click play here, that'll play and just fall down over the E. So if you don't like the positioning, you have to go back to 0 and you gotta take off the cloth and you gotta move it back. And then you gotta redo it. Cloth, play. You can see that one's off the back. But you just have to play around with that. That's how I did that. Obviously I did it with the K and the E. And it was a pretty decent look. I wasn't in love with it. That's why I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But that's essentially how it's done. And you can play with the settings on the cloth to get different things, like different forces and whatnot. But yeah. Now the last part in Cinema 4D, and probably the most tedious, is creating the fence. So I'm going to go back into the untitled window and bring that over. We're going to create sort of how the fence would look. And I'm not going to go through the hassle of doing it all, like setting up all the fences, but you guys will get the point once I show it. So you want to get a cube, you want to make it pretty thin, something like this. You want to look similar to this, maybe not as thick that way, maybe a little boardish. There we go. And then you want to bring that over, duplicate, and bring it over probably like that. So you have two posts like that with a pretty big gap. Then you want to duplicate one of them. Oops. Bring them in holding shift. Go about, in this case I went 30, but we're going to make this real thin like that. So yeah, so you got two thick ones on the end, and then you're going to fill the middle with thin ones. So we're going to duplicate that, hold shift, go 30, select both, duplicate, go 60, duplicate, go 60 again, and duplicate, and go 60 one last time. And we're going to have to move the last one over just a bit, like that. That's the fence, but of course they need to be connected somehow. So what we're going to do is get the pen tool, and actually let's go to the front view, or I guess it would be this view. And we're just going to click at the top somewhere, click at the top left, click at the top right, and kind of create something like that. And then do the same thing towards the bottom. And you could create like a different shape, like something like that maybe. Whatever, it's pretty simple. And then we're gonna get a sweep and a circle. Put the circle in the sweep, duplicate it, select both the circles, make the radius like 2, and then put a spline in each one of the sweep NURBs like that. And that's the fence. We have to do the texture though, so I'm going to create a new material. Uncheck reflectance again, as we do. Right click, filter, or layer. Delete the filter. Image, and I have another wood texture like this one. And you can see it's pretty gray and bland, which is how the driftwood would be for the fence. And actually I'm going to add an effect hue. Maybe make it a little grayer. And yeah, we'll see how this looks. We're just going to put it on every single one. There we go. I actually think I have to bring the sweep NURBs back a little bit. Or no, they're perfect. Actually, no, they're not. There we go. Now they're perfect. We don't want them sticking out over this. Alright, and then let's put this all in a group. Call it fence. And then what I did was brought it into the scene. You're gonna have to size it down about 20%. Bring it over, and then the tedious task of making it follow along the dunes. So I just brought it down and I started at one part of the dunes. Why can't I get this right? Come on. Alright, so like I started here, and then I started duplicating, twisting it, and just following the dunes to get this sort of look that I have here. You can see just following the dunes, and then you connect each big post with the last big post, and you just do that throughout all the dunes, and you get a really sick look. But yeah, obviously I'm not going to go through doing all of that right now. Actually, this is off the screen. So you'd like start there, follow this dune, follow these guys all the way, and then you get a pretty good look. And I think that's essentially the Cinema 4D part of this. I'm sorry if like towards the end I didn't show you guys a lot, but the general concepts are fairly easy. I'll run this out for you one time, and yeah, actually I want to show you something real quick that you guys can do. So say like the sand texture is a little too bright. I can go in here, and this is why I use the layer, so you can click on it and then change things up. So again, I don't need this one, so I'll remove it. But I can do effect. You can do like contrast, maybe bump up the contrast with this guy. Hue, do hue and saturation. Maybe increase the saturation so it's not so white. And yeah, so you can play around with things like that. It's sort of like Photoshop, which is nice. If you guys saw my tutorial on it, creating Cinema 4D materials, you guys probably already knew that. But yeah, obviously this is missing the crab that I didn't add and the fence, but you'll see that it's fairly simple. Like there's not much going on here. It looks really simple. If this was just the background, you'd be like, wow, this is pretty lame. But that's why there's Photoshop, and that's why I'm going to be showing you that next. So kind of set up the render like this, and yeah, so I have a part 2 to this in Photoshop. If you guys want to see that, I'll release it at 100 likes, as well as all the textures, and probably I'll even include this file in it, although I think I already put the yeah, actually I won't include the file in this. I'll include the textures that I used, but not the Cinema 4D file, because I have the original Cinema 4D file in the Qehzy video that I did a couple weeks ago, so I'll put the download of that in the description. And I feel like this video has been really confusing with things I'm putting in the description, but just check the description for everything. Everything you probably want is there, and expect a part 2 at 100 likes. And that's basically it. Hopefully this guy wasn't too freaking crazy. For these long tutorials, it's hard to stay on track and not forget something. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time, or probably in part 2. Have a good day, guys. Peace.